He hears the crying before he sees her. Soft, broken, the kind of sound someone makes when they've given up trying to hide their pain, but still don't believe anyone would care enough to notice. Alpha Kalen freezes in the dark hallway, breath turning to frost in the midnight air. He knows every voice inside this castle, every scent, every heartbeat. But this is different. This is a woman trying not to exist. He moves toward the kitchen door without a sound. No footsteps, no shift of fabric, just a large, silent shadow slipping across cold stone, as if even the night holds its breath around him. The crying gets quieter, more muffled, almost like she's swallowing her own sobs. His wolf bristles beneath his skin, ears up, teeth showing, tail lashing. Someone is hurting, and the beast inside him hates pain, hates weakness, hates the smell of fear coming from one of his own. Kalen pushes the kitchen door open and stops. Because there she is, kneeling on the floor, in the dark, alone, Leora, his Beta's wife, hands shaking as she scrubs soot from the hearthstones like she's trying to erase herself piece by piece. Her braid hangs loose, strands sticking to her cheeks where tears have dried. Her shoulders tremble under a thin, worn dress that has no business being worn in winter. She doesn't know he's there. Not yet, but he stands in the doorway, watching her with a kind of stunned stillness he hasn't felt in years. Not since the night he lost someone he loved. A breath escapes her throat, sharp, hitched, and she presses both hands against the cold floor like she's steadying herself after a blow. Kalen feels something in his chest pull tight. Too tight. This is wrong. Everything about this is wrong. His instincts scream to step forward. But for a long moment he can't move at all. Because there is one truth every alpha knows. When a wolf cries this way, they're not just sad. They're breaking. And Leora looks like a woman who broke a long time ago and learned to keep sweeping up the pieces as part of her chores. Kalen takes one step, just one. The floorboard groans. She jolts like she's been struck. Her hand flies to her mouth. Her other hand flies to the hearthstones. Her whole body folds in on itself, shrinking, bracing, like she's preparing to apologize before she even knows who she's apologizing to. Then she turns, slowly, fear first, recognition second, resignation last. When she sees him, really sees him, her breath catches. She pushes herself up so fast she slips on the wet stone and stumbles backward, arms scrambling for balance. Her dress snags on the metal grate. The fabric tears. The sound is small, barely a whisper, but it punches through Kalen like a blade. Because beneath that torn cloth, he sees her skin, and it isn't skin. It's a map of pain, scars, welts, cuts that healed wrong, bruises in different shades, old ones fading, fresh ones blooming. His wolf roars, not out loud but inside him, violent, furious, demanding blood. Kalen doesn't breathe, doesn't blink, doesn't speak. He can't, because no one in his pack should look like this, not in his kingdom, not under his rule, not while he still draws breath. Leora jerks the torn dress up, shaking so hard the fabric slips again. She presses her arms over herself, trying to hide scars she never meant anyone to see, especially him. I didn't hear you come in, she whispers, voice cracking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb. She can't finish. Her throat closes around the words like they hurt to speak. Kalen steps forward, slowly, carefully, the way someone steps toward a frightened animal, not because she is one, but because someone has made her believe she is. Leora, he says softly. She flinches. At her own name. He stops moving. Her breath turns ragged. Her eyes go wide. Her scent, fear, cold, shame, hits him like a punch. And Kalen understands something he doesn't want to understand. Someone has taught this woman to fear being seen, to fear being heard, to fear simply existing. He lowers his voice even more. What happened to your back? She shakes her head fast, too fast. No, please, it's nothing, just an accident. I fell. I was carrying wood and I... Don't, Kalen murmurs. Just one word, but her knees buckle. She grabs the table for support. She doesn't cry again. She doesn't dare. And that hurts worst of all. She's not afraid of pain. She's afraid of punishment. His jaw clenches. His breath fogs in front of him. The wolf pushes hard against his skin, demanding to hunt, to tear, to do violence in the name of mercy. Someone did this. Someone inside his pack. And the name sitting on the tip of his tongue makes his stomach twist. Ronan, his beta, his right hand, his friend. Leora's voice trembles again. Please, Alpha, don't be angry. I'll finish cleaning. I'll go home. He'll be waiting. Kalen steps closer, slowly, soft as snow falling on winter leaves. But his voice? Iron. You're not going home tonight. She freezes. Her heartbeat stutters. And for a moment, just a moment, she looks up at him with this fragile, aching hope that shatters something inside him. Then she shakes her head, terrified. No, I have to. He'll be upset. He'll think I'm disobedient. Please, Alpha, please. You are under my protection, Kalen says. Quiet. Unshakable. Final. You're staying here. Her breath stops. Completely. She doesn't know whether to feel relief or terror. Kalen does. He feels both, because the moment he gives this order, he knows everything changes. For her, for him, for the pack, and for the man who put those scars on her skin. He looks at her, really looks. A woman hiding enough pain to drown in. A woman taught to expect nothing but hurt. A woman who has never once been protected by the man who vowed to love her. He takes a slow breath. Because the truth is simple. What he saw tonight destroyed him, and he is not done destroying everything responsible. Not by a long shot. If you want to hear what Kalen does next, if you need to know the truth behind Leora's scars, like this video, subscribe for Chapter 2. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. He's already awake before dawn. Alpha Kalen stands at the tower window watching the mist drift like smoke through the courtyard below. His breath fogs against the stone. The castle is silent, but inside him, the wolf paces. He hasn't slept. Not after what he saw. Not after Leora. Those scars, they're etched into his memory now. He can feel the shape of them in his chest, and her face, blank, afraid. Like pain is just a routine chore. Like silence is safety. He hears a knock. A guard enters, head lowered, careful. The way people act when they know the Alpha isn't in a forgiving mood. She didn't sleep, the guard says. Didn't eat. She just sat there, Alpha. Still as stone. Didn't speak. Kalen nods once. He already knew that. Felt it. Her heartbeat didn't settle all night. Her scent, fear, exhaustion, something buried, still clings to the corridor walls. Thank you, Kalen says. The guard leaves. He heads for the servant wing. The halls are colder this morning. Or maybe it's just the weight pressing into his skin. Guilt, rage, questions. How long? How many people saw the signs? How didn't he? He pauses at the door. Her breath is audible from inside. Light, controlled. Measured, like someone counting each inhale so they don't fall apart. He knocks once. Leora. Silence. You're safe. It's just me. He waits, then hears her. Barely. You shouldn't be here. He opens the door anyway. She's perched on the edge of the cot, hands folded tight, eyes lowered, like a student waiting for punishment, like someone rehearsing apologies for existing. He steps in. The door clicks shut behind him. You didn't sleep, he says. I didn't want to be a problem, she whispers. Kaylin swallows. You're not. He sits across from her. No sudden moves, no commands, just space. And still, she won't look up. He lowers his voice. Did Ronan do that to your back? She flinches. I fell, she says quickly, carrying firewood. A few times. She says it like she's practiced it. Like she said it so many times she doesn't even hear the lie anymore. Kaylin doesn't reply. Just watches. She folds tighter into herself. He doesn't like when I talk too much, she says. Or when I leave the house without asking. Or when I speak to anyone in the pack without permission. Kaylin stays still. But inside, his wolf is howling. And if you do? He asks. She hesitates, then whispers, I learn my place again. The room goes silent. Kaylin looks at her hands, the way she's pressing her knuckles so hard they've gone white. He doesn't see a woman anymore. He sees a prisoner. I never told anyone, she says, because I thought maybe it was normal. Maybe I was just hard to love. His throat tightens. You were never hard to love, he says. She closes her eyes, just for a second, and that second is everything. Because for the first time, she believes him. Almost, but not enough. Ronan will be angry, she says. He always knows when I've done something wrong. Kaylin stands. He won't touch you again. Her eyes flicker up. He steps to the door and stops. A shadow moves past the hallway light. A scent drifts in, sharp, bitter, familiar. Kaylin stiffens. So does she. Footsteps, measured, heavy, approaching. Then, a knock. Hard. Controlled. Alpha, a voice says through the wood. It's Ronan. We need to talk. Kaylin doesn't answer. The knock comes again, more forceful. Behind him, Leora starts to tremble. Kaylin steps between her and the door. His shoulders square. His jaw locks. His voice drops to a growl only the wolf inside him hears. Because something's about to happen. And once it starts, there's no turning back. The door swings open. Ronan walks in like he owns the air in the room, like this is his space, his alpha, his wife. Kaylin doesn't move. He just watches. Ronan stops in the doorway, eyes landing on Leora, then flicking, quick, sharp, to Kaylin. He smiles. But it's not a real smile. It's a performance. Didn't mean to interrupt, Alpha, he says smoothly. I was told my mate didn't come home last night. Wanted to be sure she wasn't causing trouble. Leora flinches like the word hit her. Kaylin notices every small reaction, every shift in her breathing. She's afraid. Still. Even here. Even now. That says more than anything she could speak out loud. Kaylin steps forward. She's not causing trouble, he says. She's recovering. Ronan lifts a brow. Recovering? Kaylin's tone darkens. from years of silence and pain. Something shifts behind Ronan's eyes. Barely. A flicker. Then the mask snaps back into place. I see, Ronan says. She has certain sensitivities, fragile spirit. I've done my best, Alpha. But some wolves simply struggle to adapt. Leora goes pale. Kaylin hears her breath catch. Ronan continues, soft and composed. I've spoken to the pack healer. She's always said Leora's condition is difficult to treat. Something in her nature. Kaylin doesn't blink. She has scars. Ronan doesn't flinch, but his voice comes slower now. She's fallen before. Hurt herself during shift training. You know how it is, Alpha. The first few years after bonding. Rough patches. You beat her. The words fall into the room like stone. Silence. Leora curls in on herself. Ronan's smile fades. I discipline her, he says, as any mate is allowed to. The bond gives me that right. No, Kaylin says quietly. It doesn't. Another silence. But this one stretches, tightens. Kaylin steps forward, voice low, steady. I saw her back. Ronan stiffens, just for a heartbeat. Then he recovers. She's always bruised easily. Kaylin doesn't respond, not with words. He just looks at him, long, direct, alpha to beta. No titles, no friendship, just two wolves. And Ronan cracks, just a little. Alpha, with all due respect, I think you're overstepping. Kaylin's voice drops. And I think you've gotten too comfortable hiding behind rank. The temperature in the room shifts. Leora barely breathes. Kaylin doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. I took an oath, he says, to protect my pack. Every wolf, every mate. That includes her. Ronan narrows his eyes. She's mine. No, Kaylin says. She's not. Not anymore. The growl that rips from Ronan's throat is instinct, sharp, defensive. The wolf in him waking up, sensing power slipping. Kaylin doesn't move, just waits. The moment stretches. Ronan swallows it down, hard. He pulls the mask back over his face. Let's not make this political, he says. The council won't take kindly to an alpha interfering with a bonded pair. Kaylin steps closer. Then let the council hear this. Ronan frowns. Kaylin continues, slow and deliberate. I'm launching an inquiry into your conduct. As alpha. As protector of this pack. Starting now. Leora gasps behind him. Ronan's eyes flash. You would disgrace your own beta over a woman who can barely shift? There it is. The real Ronan. No more smooth words. No more polite mask. Just venom. Kaylin's voice turns ice. She's not the one who's weak. They stare at each other. Two wolves. Two old allies now standing on opposite sides of something ancient. Power. Honor. Control. And in the silence between them, everything changes. Ronan takes a slow breath, fixes his shirt collar, rebuilds the mask. As you wish, Alpha, he says. I will, of course, cooperate. He turns to Leora. Even that small shift makes her draw back, knees pressing to her chest like instinct. Kaylin steps between them. Ronan's jaw flexes. Then he leaves. Quiet. Smooth, dangerous. The door shuts behind him, and Kaylin exhales, hard. Leora doesn't speak. She just wraps her arms around herself. Kaylin turns. He doesn't reach for her, but he kneels in front of her, eye level, and says one thing. He's scared. She blinks at him, confused. Kaylin nods once. He's never had to answer for the things he's done, but now? He knows that door's opening. Her voice is a whisper. And what happens if it doesn't shut in time? Kaylin doesn't answer, because part of him is asking the same thing, and part of him already knows. Ronan's not the only one with secrets. She wakes gasping. Not from a nightmare. No. She wishes it were a nightmare. Nightmares end. This memory doesn't. Leora sits upright in the small room the Alpha placed her in, chest heaving as the early morning sun cuts through the thin curtains. Her hands shake. Her throat burns. Her wolf, weak, quiet, distant, whimpers inside her chest. She swallows hard and hears footsteps. Not heavy ones. Not the ones she fears. Soft steps. Steady. Purposeful. Ones she hasn't learned to dread yet. Kaylin. He knocks once. Leora? Her breath stutters. She pulls her knees up, hugging them tight. She tries to look composed, but her body betrays her. Slight tremors, shallow breaths, that instinctive shrinking she can't unlearn. "May I come in?" Kaylin asks. She hesitates. Silence stretches. Then she whispers, "Yes." The door opens. Kaylin steps in slow, like he's walking into a room full of fragile glass. He closes the door without taking his eyes off her, like he wants her to see every movement. No surprises, no sudden shifts. He sits across from her on the floor. Not the chair. The floor. Level with her. Her throat tightens. He studies her face, reading it like he's memorizing every tired line, every small flinch. "You screamed," he says softly. She flinches. "I didn't mean to." "You don't need to apologize for pain." The words hit something inside her she didn't know was still alive. She looks away. The sun catches her skin, casting faint shadows over the old scars. Kaylin sees them. He doesn't hide the sadness in his eyes. Not pity. Sadness. And something heavier. Anger. "Leora," he says gently. "I need you to tell me what he did to you." She shakes her head instantly. No, I can't." "You can. He'll find out." "He won't." "He always does," she whispers. And that's when Kaylin finally speaks the truth she avoids. "He's afraid." She lifts her gaze slowly. Kaylin continues, steady. "Men like Ronan don't feel fear often, but when they do, they panic, they lie, they tighten their grip until it breaks." Leora swallows hard. "I don't want to fight," she says. "It's already started," Kaylin replies. "With or without you." Her fingers twist in the blanket. She's spiraling, breathing faster, curling inward again. Kaylin leans closer, voice down to a whisper. "Talk to me. I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to understand." She closes her eyes, and the memory returns, not with images, with sensations, burning, cold, fear so sharp it cuts. She tries to steady her breathing, but the memory keeps tightening around her like iron bands. "He wasn't always cruel," she says, barely audible. "Not at the very beginning." Kaylin stays silent, waiting, encouraging without pushing. "After we bonded, he said I needed discipline," she continues. "He said my wolf was wrong, too quiet, too weak. He said the only way to fix me was obedience." Kaylin's jaw tightens. "What did he do?" he asks quietly. Her answer comes broken. "He trained me like a soldier, but I wasn't a soldier. I was his mate." Kaylin lowers his head. She wipes her face quickly, embarrassed by her own tears. "I tried to shift," she whispers, "over and over, but nothing worked. And every time I failed, he got frustrated. And when he got frustrated..." Her voice fractures. Kaylin finishes the sentence for her. He hurt you. She nods once. Her whole body shakes. She covers her face with both hands, ashamed. I thought he was helping me, she says. I thought it was my fault I couldn't shift. I thought I deserved the punishment. Kaylin moves closer, slow, careful. He doesn't touch her, but he closes the space between them in a way that says, You're not alone, Leora, he murmurs. You didn't deserve any of it. She lifts her head, eyes rimmed red. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want to shame him. He's your beta. The pack respects him. Kaylin's voice deepens. They respect the mask he wears, not the man underneath. A tear slips down her cheek. She wipes it, almost angrily. It wasn't just the beatings, she whispers. It was everything else. The rules, the silence, the walking on eggshells. If I looked at someone too long, if I spoke without permission, it didn't matter how small the mistake was. What did he do? Kaylin asks softly. She looks at him, really looks. Her voice drops to a fragile whisper. He made my wolf afraid of me. Kaylin freezes. Her wolf, her core, the instinct inside every shifter that guides them, protects them, strengthens them. He broke it. I can barely feel her anymore, Leora says. She used to be quiet. Now she's just gone, like she hides from me, too. Kaylin breathes slowly through the fury building in his chest. Leora, he says gently, your wolf isn't gone. She's wounded. She's hiding because she learned that coming out meant pain. Her eyes flicker with something he hasn't seen yet. Hope. Small, shy, scared, but there. I don't know how to fix it, she whispers. I don't know how to be a real wolf again. Kaylin leans in. You don't fix it alone. Her lips part, just slightly, in surprise. You help her heal, he says, slowly, safely, with someone who won't hurt you for it. She tries to speak. Nothing comes out. He continues. Your wolf is still inside you. I can feel her. She's faint, but she's there. She's waiting for the moment she can come out without fear. Her breath catches, and she whispers the question that terrifies her most. What if she never comes back? Kaylin doesn't hesitate. She will. How do you know? Because last night, he says, voice low and certain, when I walked in and you turned around, she woke up. Leora's heartbeat stutters. Kaylin holds her gaze. Fear doesn't wake a wolf, he says. Instinct does. And your instinct wasn't to hide last night. What was it? To survive, he says. To fight. To hold on. That's a wolf. Even a wounded one. Leora looks down at her hands. Quiet. Thinking. Breathing slower now. Kaylin stands and offers her a hand up. She stares at it. Not because she's afraid. Because she's not used to being offered anything. She places her hand in his. Her first choice in a long, long time. He lifts her to her feet. Gentle. Steady. Then he says the words that change the air around them. Leora, I'm taking this to the council. Her blood runs cold. No, it's the only way. They won't believe me. They'll believe me? She shakes her head, panic rising fast. You don't understand. Ronan will twist everything. He'll deny it. He'll say I'm unstable. He always... Kaylin steps closer, voice quiet but iron strong. He won't get the chance. She goes still, frozen, terrified, conflicted. What do you mean? She whispers. Kaylin says nothing at first, because the real answer isn't a simple one. And what comes next? We'll break something open in the pack that can never be sealed again. They're already waiting for him when he walks in. 8 of them. Council members, elders, alphas from the old lines. all seated at the long stone table, eyes sharp, sense restrained. The air smells like pine smoke and politics. Alpha Kalen steps into the council hall like a blade unsheathed. No hesitation, no apology. But inside, his wolf is on edge. It doesn't like how quiet the room is. Doesn't like the eyes that shift toward him but don't blink, don't bow, don't breathe too deep. They know why he's here. They just don't know how deep it goes. "Alpha," says Elder Marin, voice gravel deep. "You've requested an emergency audience. State your claim." Kalen stands at the head of the table, hands behind his back, voice steady. "I'm filing formal charges against Beta Ronin." Every head lifts. Not one heartbeat misses. "On what grounds?" Marin asks. "Abuse," Kalen says. "Prolonged, systematic abuse of his mate. Physical, psychological, spiritual." Someone shifts in their chair. Not much. Just enough to show discomfort. He presses forward. For years, Leora has suffered in silence. She was isolated, controlled, prevented from forming a healthy bond with her wolf. Marked, scarred, treated more like a prisoner than a mate. "Do you have proof?" another elder asks. "I do," Kalen says. "I've seen the scars myself. I've spoken with her directly. I've heard enough to know the truth." A murmur ripples through the room, but Marin raises a hand. "And yet, you bring this without her testimony?" Kalen doesn't blink. "She's afraid. And that fear might cloud her perception," Elder Fyra says. She leans forward, eyes narrowed. "Mates fight, words are said, bonds strain. That's not grounds for stripping a beta." Kalen steps forward. "She didn't just suffer. She was made to believe she deserved it. Her wolf is suppressed. Her spirit, caged. That isn't bonding, that's domination." Another elder clears his throat. "And if Ronan denies it?" "He will," Kalen says flatly. "And if the pack splits over it?" Kalen's silence is answer enough. One of the older councilwomen speaks for the first time. "Alpha," she says, "we don't doubt your intentions, but Ronan has served faithfully for 10 years. You ask us to put that history aside for the word of a woman who, until yesterday, couldn't even shift." Kalen's voice goes cold. "Because he made sure she couldn't." Silence again. Heavy now. Uncomfortable. The truth hangs in the room like smoke. Then Marin speaks again. "This is dangerous ground, Kalen. You're accusing your second-in-command of treason against the bond, of cruelty, sabotage. If we rule without clear evidence, the rest of the Northern Territories will see it as weakness. They'll say the crown tears itself apart." "Then let them," Kalen snaps. "Let them watch what happens when an alpha defends the voiceless." Several elders shift again. Fyra speaks next. "Will the woman testify publicly?" Kalen hesitates, not out of doubt, out of protection. "She's not ready," he says. "But I am, and I'm invoking my right to launch a formal inquiry with Alpha Override, as king." The silence this time isn't awkward. It's electric. Power shifts in the room. Elders glance at each other. Old rules, ancient protocol, a move almost never used, until now. Marin leans back. "If you do this, it doesn't stop here. It will drag up every shadow, every ally Ronan has, every wolf who ever turned their head the other way." "I know," Kalen says. "And once we open the floor," Fyra adds, "there are no closed doors." "Good," Kalen replies. "Maybe it's time some doors stay open," the council murmurs. Marin raises his voice over them. "Very well. By the authority of this circle, we grant Alpha Kalen a formal inquiry." He strikes the table once. The echo cracks like thunder through the hall. Kalen turns to leave, then stops. "One more thing," he says. The elders pause. "The pack will be informed immediately. No secrets, no lies, no quiet handling. This doesn't go underground, it goes public. You'll spark unrest, Fyra warns. Kaylin nods. Good. Let it burn. And he walks out, head high, back straight. But inside, he knows the match is lit. Now he just has to keep the fire from devouring everything. The woods are burning, not real fire, but something close. Leora runs. Snow crunches beneath her boots, moonlight flashing through the trees like blades. Her lungs ache. Her heart pounds. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. They're behind her. Training dummies, simulated enemies, warriors from the inner guard testing her. But to her, they all look like him, like Ronan. His voice still echoes in her ears. You're weak. You're nothing without me. You can't even shift. She pushes harder. Kaylin's voice cuts through the panic. Breathe, Leora. Focus. She tries to hear his voice instead of the one etched into her bones. Tries to listen to the calm, the strength, the steady pulse behind every word Kaylin gives her. You're safe. You're stronger than you think. Let her out. Her wolf. Still hiding. Still buried. Leora throws herself behind a tree just as a wooden blade sweeps through the space she was standing in seconds before. One of the guards, not attacking, testing, pushing. She's supposed to fight back, but she freezes, like always. Her muscles lock. Her instincts betray her, because deep down, she still doesn't believe she deserves to fight. A shadow slams into her. She hits the ground hard. Snow sprays. Pain blooms across her ribs. She gasps. The guard pins her down, eyes checking hers, not cruel, not hurting, just holding her there, waiting to see what she'll do, what she won't do. She lies still, just like always. Leora. Kaylin's voice echoes again from somewhere behind her. Don't submit. Don't freeze. Shift. She squeezes her eyes shut. I can't, she whispers. Then, snap. Something sharp. Something hot. Right in her chest. Not pain. Not fear. Anger. Real anger. Old. Buried. Burning. Because suddenly she's sick of lying on the ground. Sick of being the girl who never fights back. Sick of the voice in her head telling her to shrink. The snap grows louder. A pulse of heat surges through her bones. The guard's eyes go wide. Then she growls. Not a scream. Not a cry. A growl. Deep. Wild. The kind that comes from somewhere ancient. And her body moves. Fast. She throws the guard off her like a rag doll. Her vision blurs. But everything sharpens. Her ears ring with wind and blood. Her skin burns, and then it breaks. A white-hot explosion of energy tears through her limbs. She screams as her fingers crack, reshape. Her spine arches. Her knees give out, then catch. On pause. Not hands. Pause. Fur explodes across her skin like fire. White. Silver-streaked. Glowing under the moon. And her eyes, they shine gold. The forest goes quiet. Even the wind stops. Kaylin appears through the trees, his breath fogging, his eyes wide. He saw it. All of it. She shifted. Finally. Fully. Her wolf, real, whole, alive, stands in the snow, chest heaving, muscles coiled, ready. She growls again. Low, beautiful, furious. Kaylin steps toward her slowly. No fear, only awe. You did it, he says softly. The other guards stare, stunned. She's a runt, one whispers. Kaylin corrects him. She's a survivor. Leora snarls, just a little. then turns and bolts through the trees. Not away, not escaping, just running. For the first time, on her own four paws. Fast, fluid, free. The wind rushes against her fur. Her lungs open, her heart pounds with rhythm, not panic. The cold doesn't sting. The branches don't cut. The shadows don't scare her. She's not hiding anymore. She's hunting. Kaylin shifts beside her. Dark fur, tall frame, and they run together, side by side. Her alpha, not as master, but as equal. And for the first time in her life, she feels like a wolf. They stop near the river. Steam rises from the water where it cuts through the ice. Kaylin shifts back first, breath heavy. Leora follows, shaking, raw, but steady. She drops to her knees, half covered in snow and sweat and moonlight. "I felt her," she whispers. Kaylin nods. "I know." She wasn't afraid. "She was never afraid," he says. "She was waiting." Leora looks down at her hands, still trembling. But they're hers now, not his, not controlled, not punished. Hers. She laughs. It breaks out of her like thunder, sharp, disbelieving, joyful. Kaylin watches, something soft in his eyes. "You still think you're broken?" he asks. She looks up at him, smiling through tears. "No," she says. "Just healing." They sit in silence. And then Kaylin's face shifts, alert, sensing something. She sees it too. Another scent on the wind. Unfamiliar. Sharp. Uninvited. His voice drops low. "Get behind me." Leora stiffens. "What is it?" Kaylin narrows his eyes toward the trees. "Not what," he says. "Who?" Because someone just crossed into their territory. Someone who shouldn't be here. And the timing? Too perfect. Too precise. As if they were waiting for Leora's wolf to finally wake up. The hall is full, not just with bodies, with tension. It clings to the air like fog before a storm. Wolves from every rank line the stone walls. Warriors, elders, servants, spectators, all gathered to witness what most thought would never happen. A formal alpha challenge, and it's not against an outsider. It's against his own beta. Kaylin stands at the center of the ring. No armor, no crown, just his bare hands and the truth. Across from him? Ronan, smiling, calm, too calm. His posture is relaxed, but his scent betrays him, sour with nerves, the stench of pride bruising beneath fear. The council sits elevated behind them, silent, watching, waiting. Kaylin scans the crowd. He sees Leora near the back, cloaked, still healing. Her wolf quiet inside her, but alert now, aware. She meets his eyes, nods once, then the bell rings, and everything changes. Ronan strikes first, fast, brutal, precise. A shoulder to the ribs, a fist to the throat. He's not holding back. This isn't a spar. It's a warning. Kaylin takes the blows, absorbs the weight, then retaliates. A clean hit to the jaw. Ronan stumbles, and the crowd leans forward. Kaylin doesn't hesitate. He presses forward, relentless, controlled. He doesn't fight like a wild wolf. He fights like a king. Ronan snarls. "This is madness, Kaylin. All this for her." Kaylin's voice is steel. "This is for every wolf who's been silenced." Ronan lunges again, claws half-shifted, eyes glowing. He's desperate now. Kaylin ducks, sweeps his leg, slams him to the ground. Ronan rolls, comes up swinging, lands a blow against Kaylin's ribs. Kaylin grunts but doesn't fall. They lock arms, breathless, sweating, snarling. This isn't just about dominance. This is about belief, about justice, about who deserves power and who never should have had it. The crowd watches, silent, spellbound. Ronan tries to twist the narrative mid-fight. She's unstable. You're being manipulated. She couldn't even shift until you got involved. Kaelin headbutts him, hard. Ronan staggers back. She shifted, Kaelin growls, because she was finally safe. The elders exchange glances. The council chair raises her voice. End this, Alpha. If you mean to take his place, strip him of title. Make your claim. Kaelin doesn't speak. He moves, grabs Ronan by the collar, slams him to the ground a final time. This time, Ronan doesn't rise. He coughs, spits blood, lies still. Kaelin stands over him. The air crackles. He lifts his hand, just enough, then lowers it. Not to kill, not to humiliate, but to end it. Quietly, cleanly. I strip you of your beta title, Kaelin says. Effective immediately. Gasps ripple across the hall. I spare your life not out of mercy, he adds, but as a reminder that cruelty has consequences, that power must answer for pain. He turns to the council, then the crowd, then Leora. His voice never wavers. This pack protects its own. From now on, no one suffers in silence. Silence answers him. Then slowly, applause, low at first, then louder. A howl rises from the warrior ranks. A young Omega joins in, and soon the whole hall is howling, not for victory, but for change. Later, Kaelin stands alone on the balcony, hands braced on the cold stone rail. Ronan is gone, exiled, stripped of power. But the battle's not over, not yet. He hears her before he sees her. Leora steps out beside him, hood pulled low. They don't speak right away. Then, "You didn't have to do that," she whispers. Kaelin doesn't look at her. "I did." "You risked the entire structure of the pack." "I risked it the moment I looked away," he says. "This just made it right." She's quiet. Then, "I don't know who I am without him." Kaelin turns, meets her eyes. "You're not without him," he says. "You're free from him." Her breath catches, and for the first time in a long time, she believes it. But deep in the forest, past the borders, past the exile line, another wolf watches, wounded, seething, waiting, and not alone. The room is too bright. Leora squints against the sunlight pouring through the high council windows. Her palms are sweating, her heart beats too loud in her ears. She stands in the middle of the stone floor surrounded by wolves who once looked right through her. Now, they're all watching. She doesn't like it, not because she's hiding, but because now they see her, and she doesn't know what they see. The Luna trials haven't been held in over a decade. They're not punishments. They're not games. They're a public test of worth, of instinct, of strength, of truth. And for Leora, the beta's former mate, the woman who couldn't shift, the silent shadow at the back of the hall, this is everything. The crowd watches as Elder Fyra steps forward. Her tone is flat, formal. "Leora, of House Norin, former bonded of Beta Ronan, you've invoked the rights of protection under the Alpha King, but to claim position as Luna, if that is his will, you must be seen by the pack, judged not by pity, not by pain, but by strength." Leora doesn't speak, just nods once. It's the only part of her body not shaking. Fyra continues, "You will face 3 trials, physical, emotional, and instinctual, each designed to test the core of your wolf." A murmur ripples through the crowd. They don't think she'll last. Not after what they heard. Not after who she was. Leora hears every whisper like it's under her skin. She's too soft. She barely shifted once. Ronan's mate? That's who'll stand beside the Alpha? But she doesn't break. Not yet. Fyra nods toward the guards. Trial 1, she announces. The run. The gates open, and Leora bolts into the forest. She doesn't look back. Doesn't need to. Because this isn't about who's chasing her. It's about whether she finishes. The run is simple. Make it to the ridge. Alone. In wolf form. 50 warriors have done it. Half failed. Leora shifts mid-stride, faster than last time. Smoother. Her silver coat ripples beneath the trees as snow slashes her sides and thorns catch at her paws. Branches whip past her ears, the wind bites her lungs. But she runs. Harder than she ever did when she was running from something. Now she runs towards something. And when she clears the ridge, breathless, limping, but standing, wolves begin to murmur. Trial 1. Complete. Trial 2 is worse. Not physical, emotional. She sits in a small chamber, alone with 3 elders, and speaks her truth, out loud. No masks, no deflections, no softening the story. Every time she wants to shrink, she remembers Kaylin's voice. You don't fix it alone. So she speaks, about the punishments, the cold nights, the way she flinched when she was right just as much as when she was wrong. She talks about silence, about how it felt to have a wolf inside her who wouldn't come out, not because she didn't want to, but because it didn't feel safe. When she finishes, no one claps, no one cries, but Elder Marin clears his throat and softly says, "Thank you," which, in council terms, is the loudest thing he's ever said. Trial 3 is brutal. The arena again. This time, instinctual combat. No weapons, no guides, no warning. A warrior lunges from the dark, unexpected, fast, growling. She shifts without thinking. Her wolf takes over, not the scared one, the awake one. She doesn't dodge. She doesn't run. She meets him. They crash hard, teeth to teeth, muscle to muscle. She doesn't overpower him, but she holds her own. And that's more than anyone expected. When the final bell rings and both wolves bow out, Leora is still standing, bloodied, breathing hard, limbs shaking, but alive. The elders rise. Kaylin stands behind them now, arms crossed, gaze locked on hers. She looks back. No fear, no shrinking, only fire. Fyra turns to the crowd. Leora has completed the trials. A pause. Does any wolf object to her claiming Luna beside the Alpha King? Silence. 1 heartbeat. 2. 3. No objections until a howl. Far off, wrong, ugly, a mocking sound echoing from beyond the court walls. Kaylin's head lifts, his jaw locks. Because that sound? It doesn't belong to any wolf inside the walls. It's coming from outside, from exile. A message, a threat, a reminder that someone is still watching, still waiting, still ready to strike. Kaylin's voice cuts through the stunned silence. Double the border patrols. He steps toward Leora. She meets him in the center of the circle, and when he reaches for her hand this time, she doesn't hesitate. He lifts it in the air, a single declaration. She is Luna. The crowd howls, but Leora hears something else beneath the noise. A second howl, distant, deep, not celebration, warning, and in her gut, her wolf stirs, not with fear, but with something worse. Recognition. The fire is low, only embers now. Soft orange glow flickering across the stone floor of the Alpha's quarters. Everything's quiet, except their hearts. Kaylin stands at the window, arms crossed, moonlight catching the tension in his shoulders. Behind him, Leora watches, barefoot, wrapped in a long tunic, skin warm from the bath, scars faded but still there, like ghost stories etched into her skin. She doesn't hide them anymore. Not from him, not from herself. And that's the real shift. He senses her before she moves, but he still startles when her voice breaks the silence. "You've barely looked at me all night." Kalen turns, slow. His eyes meet hers, unflinching. "I'm trying not to rush you." She smiles, tired, crooked, a little sad. "You're the only one who's never rushed me." A beat passes. She steps closer. "The others look at me like I've survived something," she says. "But you look at me like I still am something." Kalen's voice is low, rough. "You are." He crosses the room slowly. No dominance, no alpha energy. Just a man approaching something fragile, something he doesn't want to break. He stops a breath away. Her hands tremble, but they lift to rest against his chest, not out of fear, out of awe. His heart thunders beneath her touch, and she whispers the question she's been too afraid to ask. "Do you want me because I'm broken, or because you believe I'm not?" Kalen doesn't answer with words. He leans in and kisses her. Soft, slow, steady, like a promise that doesn't need to be spoken. Her body melts into his before her mind catches up. She kisses him back, desperate but not afraid, hungry but not hollow, because for the first time in her life, she's kissing someone who sees her fully and chooses her anyway. They don't rush. They don't need to. The bond blooming between them isn't fire. It's light, warm, consuming, gentle. They lie tangled in the furs, moonlight streaking across their skin, hearts finally quiet. Kalen brushes her hair back from her face, watches her breathe, listens to the silence like it's the most sacred thing in the world. "You're safe now," he murmurs. Leora doesn't reply. She's staring at the ceiling, eyes distant. Kalen frowns. "What is it?" She blinks and whispers, "What if safety isn't enough?" His brow tightens. She continues, "I feel peace when I'm with you, but I don't want my wolf to only come out in peace. I want her to fight when it's time. I want her to lead beside you, not hide behind you." Kalen exhales slowly, sits up. "You will," he says. She shakes her head. "You don't know that." He touches her cheek, gently. "I don't have to know. Because I've seen the fire in you. You shifted without control once. Now, you need to shift by choice." Leora goes quiet. He stands, extends a hand. "Come outside with me." She blinks. "Now?" He nods. Full moon, perfect night. The wind is cold against her skin, but her wolf warms her from the inside. They stand beneath the open sky. Snow covers the field in soft silver light, stars above, mountains in the distance. Kalen moves a few paces ahead, then shifts. One fluid motion. Dark fur, tall frame, alpha presence. But this time, he doesn't turn back to check on her. He waits, confident, patient, because this moment doesn't belong to him. It belongs to her. Leora closes her eyes, takes a breath, feels the air inside her lungs, and finally, she stops reaching for the shift and lets the shift reach for her. It answers, eager, powerful, clean. Her spine arches, her body blurs, and silver fur blooms across her skin like starlight. When she opens her eyes, gold, glowing, strong, Kalen's wolf steps closer. They don't run this time. They walk, side by side, through the trees, through the snow. Two wolves, two equals, no longer healing, becoming. They stop at the old ridge overlooking the borderlands. She pauses, ears forward, because something's wrong. Kaylin smells it too. Blood, smoke, movement in the distance. Leora growls, and her wolf says something deep inside her bones. This isn't over. Kaylin shifts back first, stares across the horizon. Firelight flickers far off through the trees. Campfires, but not theirs. Strangers, uninvited. And suddenly, he knows. This peace, this moment, it was the eye of the storm. He turns to Leora, his voice steady, but grim. War's coming. She shifts back, naked in the moonlight, unashamed, unshaken, and whispers the answer she never thought she'd be ready to give. Then let them come. The sky is red, not from sunset, from flames. The southern woods are burning. Smoke rises in thick black clouds as howls split the air. Not the pack's usual call. Something sharper. Feral. Kaylin charges through the trees, his wolf already at the edge. The guards follow behind him, teeth bared, eyes glowing. But this fight, it's personal. Because the scent in the smoke is Ronan's. The ex-beta didn't just crawl away quietly. He found allies, disgraced wolves, rogues, outcasts exiled by other packs, all hungry for chaos. And now, they're inside the borders. And they didn't come to challenge. They came to destroy. The first wave hits hard. Wolves clash in the snow. Bodies slam into trees. Blood spills fast. Kaylin shifts mid-sprint, crashing into two rogue males with a roar that shakes the ground. He doesn't fight like a king today. He fights like a wolf. One thought burns in his mind. Where is she? Leora tears through the battlefield on 4 legs, silver fur streaked with ash and blood. She's fast now, faster than fear. Her wolf doesn't hesitate anymore, doesn't flinch at growls, doesn't bow to threats. She's finally free. And she's not fighting for survival. She's fighting for everything. A rogue lunges. She dodges, spins, sinks her teeth into his flank and throws him off balance. Another comes from behind. She senses it before it hits. Instinct. Real, living instinct. She drops low and kicks off the ground, flipping through the air and landing on all 4s, snarling like thunder. Her power isn't in her strength. It's in her will. And tonight, it's unbreakable. Kaylin finds her in the clearing. Wolves all around, dust and blood thick in the air. She turns toward him, panting, eyes glowing gold through smoke. He nods once. They don't need words, not anymore. They charge, side by side, crushing enemies like wind against fire, not stopping, not slowing. Together they're a force the forest's never seen, and then he feels it, that presence, that scent, that hate, behind him. Kaylin spins just as Ronan steps from the shadows, calm as ever. Not dirty, not desperate, just waiting, armed with silver, covered in war paint, a twisted smirk curling his lips. He claps once, slow, mocking. Well, Ronan says, I was wondering when the Alpha would stop hiding behind his Luna. Kaylin doesn't answer. He shifts. Full wolf. Dark, massive, lethal. Ronan laughs. You always were dramatic. Then he shifts too. Larger than before. Lean muscle. Yellow eyes dripping with poison. They circle each other. No counsel. No witnesses. Just 2 beasts with unfinished business. Then they move. Fast. Loud. Explosive. Fur flies. Claws rake. Jaws snap. Kaylin fights with purpose. But Ronan? Ronan fights with poison. He cheats, bites low, uses ash in the air to blind, slashes at old wounds. But Kaylin doesn't go down, because this time he's not fighting for himself. He's fighting for her, and that changes everything. Leora watches, torn. Every bone in her body wants to jump in, end it. But something holds her back. Not fear, clarity. This is Kalen's fight, his truth, his closure. So she waits, until Ronan cheats again, pulls a hidden blade from beneath his fur, lunges for Kalen's throat, and that's when she moves. Fast, furious, wolf to man in a flash of silver. She grabs the blade in midair, twists it, and drives it into the ground between them. Hard. "No!" she growls. "This ends with teeth, not treachery." Ronan looks at her like she's a ghost. "You?" She shifts in front of him, eyes glowing bright. "Yes, me." And when Kalen lunges the final time, it's clean. One move, one bite, and Ronan drops, defeated, alive, but no longer feared. Kalen stands over him, breathing hard, then turns away. Because this wasn't revenge, it was justice. The forest is quiet. Ash falls like snow. The rogues retreat, broken and scattered. Leora limps toward Kalen, every part of her burning, but standing. They look at each other. No crown, no title, just two wolves, survivors. He lifts her hand, places it over his heart. No words, just truth. And for the first time, she feels safe and strong in the same breath, because the war is over. But her story, it's just beginning. Spring came late that year. The frost clung to the trees longer than usual. The river stayed frozen well into the planting moon, but no one in the pack seemed to mind. They were too busy rebuilding. The borders had been reinforced. The exiles had vanished into the mountains. The old council restructured. And at the center of it all, Leora, not just the Alpha's mate, not just the Luna, but a symbol. A survivor who'd stepped out of the ashes, bared her scars to the entire pack, and still stood. Not to be pitied, not to be protected, but to lead. She stood now on the same ridge where she once shifted for the first time. Snow still dusted the treetops, but the sun was stronger today. So was she. Kalen came up beside her, quiet as always. He didn't speak until she did. "You think they'll ever forget who I used to be?" He looked at her, smiled, soft. "No, and that's the point." She turned toward him, and for the first time, there was no fear in her eyes when she asked, "What happens next?" He looked out over the land, then back at her, and said, "Whatever you want." Down below, young wolves trained in the clearing. Their howls rose and fell in rhythm. There was laughter, scented pine, joy even. The old way was gone. A new one had begun. And at the edge of the trees, in the shadows where the light didn't quite reach, a golden pair of eyes watched, silent, patient, waiting, because not every scar fades, and not every enemy stays gone. But now, Leora was ready for whatever came next.